Hello, it is February 8th, 2022. This is As the World Burns. I'm your host, Randall Burns. Today's topic is the popular book, The Psychology of Money. This is a work about how personal ideas on money are formed and how they impact our lives. There's a lot of wisdom in this book, and it can really facilitate introspection on where our personal ideas of money come from and how it relates and how our path through the world relates to those that we've modeled that after. Now, there's a lot of good things in this book, and it's a good book for people getting started in the practice of investing and who are in a position to take a long-run view of their finances. There's a lot of wisdom here. It's a very good book in a lot of respects. Now, I have some caveats on this book. The economic analysis in the book, I think, is a little bit weak. It's a very conventional economic analysis. They make the assumption, the US has been getting richer and richer and richer, and in certain dimensions it has been, but they don't look at all the dimensions. There's been a trade-off, for example, between material comforts and having children. And I would suggest reading along with this the work of Ed Wolff at NYU, who's in my opinion, the foremost economist active today on the topic of wealth and distribution of wealth. And I'd also read the work of Elizabeth Warren, The Two-Income Trap, which I'll probably do a review on at some point also. Now, the analysis that needs to be done here is not ready for prime time. I can only give it to you in bits and pieces right now, and I haven't done anything that's comprehensive now. I think I can say enough that I see real holes in the conventional wisdom on this topic. Yes, we have bigger houses today. Yes, we have a lot of nice toys, but according to the research of Ed Wolff, the percentage of people with zero or negative net assets has gone up strikingly since 1965 in the United States. And so when you look at this material situation, it's tricky. You also have to look at it by age cohort also, which is another key factor. Still, the psychology of money covers important basics for establishing and advancing one's financial position and things that are timeless and near universal. It does a decent job of encouraging steadiness, persistence, and preparedness. It doesn't teach one how to push the limits of one's own investing ability or to really understand thoroughly what those limitations are. The author is pretty much a pure index fund investor. That is a topic I think that needs its own discussion on the limitations of it and what it really, the bets that are implicit within that. I see index fund investing as a bet on business as usual continuing, and usually that's a good bet until it's not. Okay, and I prefer Ray Dalio's all-weather portfolio approach, which has demonstrably similar returns and I think has a lower risk profile. Ray Dalio, has plenty of index fund investing in his portfolio along with hedges in commodities and gold, as well as fixed income equities, which he advocates using for dollar cost averaging. Now, he's actually, by the way, backing away from the fixed income position, and I haven't seen really what he's replacing it yet with, but he's starting to back away from that, basically saying that he wants to stay away from equities in either yen, dollars, or euros, which covers the bulk of them right now. I mean, the only thing I can see that it really leaves is Swiss francs and the Chinese renminbi, which is, and the Swiss francs are even hard to get a good retail investment fund in. But the thing that I really liked about this book is that it emphasizes that the best investment saving strategy may be the one that you're actually prone to actually do. Okay. And that's a factor that a lot of people giving investment advice kind of leave out. Yes, there are things that if you did theoretically, and this is something that the author does get into, that yes, it may be rational to leverage while you're young and then back off as you get older, but not many people have the internal discipline to do that and follow through. Hedge fund managers do. That's part of how they make their money. They just take a long run view and they kind of forget about the customers that don't have that long run view, because they do. The people running the hedge fund do, and they're fine with it. But on a future video, but you need to understand your quirks, what keeps you up at night, and just what you personally need to feel secure and keep your morale up in the long run through this process. That's valuable advice and something that I intend to expand on in future videos. I think that, for example, hedging strategies need to be tailored to each individual investor, because so many people have, like, say, an investment like a farm or a house that they're attached to, and they need to build their hedging strategy around that. And that's not something that he goes into. Again, he's more a pure index fund investor. He's not into the fine-tuning things. And this would be a complementary video, not a oppositional video. The author freely admits, for example, that he owns a house free and clear, even though this may not be the wisest of investment decisions. But, and again, I think that it might be valuable to go into how to craft strategies around that. And that can be done for each individual and can be tailored in certain ways. For example, I own a home at the edge of the Gifford Pinchot National Forest. Hedging using a Weyerhaeuser stock as a proxy, because my property values tend to track Weyerhaeuser stock values. It's very similar properties in large part. And so I can go into like a hedging strategy where I craft that. You can find REITs that track most major urban real estate markets. So you can see kind of like where your big ticket real estate item ought to be, okay? I tend to look at dollar hedges, and I look at real estate hedges, for my personal security, okay? Because I'm a Social Security recipient, Social Security disability recipient. I don't want to be caught blind if the dollar ceases to be a reserve currency someday, which Ray Dalio mentions is a real possibility, or at least being pared back in its role as a reserve currency. I don't want to be caught, I don't want to be blindsided by that. So I want extra security and protection in that respect beyond what a S&P 500 index would give me. And that's actually following rules of diversification further than what most index fund investors do. And there's more on that. I'll link to my video on diversification where I go into some of that a little bit. The psychology of money has a lot to say about the communities we identify with affect our economic habits. And I think that's something that deserves more depth, okay? We don't quite realize when we immerse ourselves in an environment how we're being drawn into the groupthink of that environment. I go into that a little bit in the video Escape from Manipulation. And that's something that, again, our videos can go more into on this one. The key to successful investing is individuation and learning to think for yourself. And that's something that this book reinforces, but it needs additional reinforcement beyond that, I think. The psychology of money does a good job of emphasizing working within one's limitations and teaching some longer run thinking that a lot of folks really need. But again, and I think the book also needs to be complemented. I think Psychology of Money needs to be complemented with a good book on real estate investing and strategic career advice. Because that's actually a big investment that a lot of people make, and it is a money issue. Although, as he points out, getting into a career that you can do for the long run is highly beneficial, even if it's not necessarily the optimal from a monetary angle. Okay, but again, this is part of a series of book reviews I'm going to be doing. I'll be referring back to these at times when I think these reviews will be specifically valuable to people. If you want to have input onto the channel, please let me know. I want to get input. I want to make this a kind of community-driven site so that I'm spending my time and energy on this, on the things that people want me to do, and I leverage that to get more viewers. Thank you very much for your support. Please hit the like button. Please make suggestions for future episodes. Let me know if you want to participate in the selection of areas to emphasize in the future. I'm open to community input. This is Randall Burns, As the World Burns, signing off. Be back soon.